Good afternoon. I'm Fred Summers, the regional psychiatrist. And we probably ought to remind ourselves that one reason this is an important topic is that to help the Japanese and the local folks, we have to pace ourselves and manage our own stress reaction. So I want to remind you that help is available for yourselves, your families, your sections through the health unit and through the CLO as well. Sometimes when we do these talks, we stop and we ask people to raise their hands if they've been affected by stress in the last 2 weeks. We don't need to do that today because that's everybody, that's 100%. We might conclude that none of us are actually ourselves, and this, I think, highlights the need that we be patient with ourselves and with our colleagues as we go about our work. Our community, as you know, has been particularly fortunate through this in terms that there's been no serious injuries and the loss of property really has been minimal. Nonetheless, we have our own challenges, and it's 2 weeks out, and they begin to change a little bit. We have absent families. Many of us were happy that they had the option to go, but now we have to help them set up housekeeping far away and perhaps in new settings. The news from the reactors is plus and minus, hard to gauge some days. We're facing the news cycle, of course. The endless tremors, which Jim Forbes is going to tell us when they end next, seem to always remind us of what's taken place. And we also have news that travels from here to the United States and seems to get amplified and comes back and is reported to local families, and we have a cycle of anxiety in that route as well. So what we need to think about today is that the alarm reaction, the immediate effect of the stress is over. That adrenaline, noradrenaline rush that helped all of you focus and work around the clock for several days has really spent itself and spun itself out. And you can't sustain it indefinitely. So 2 weeks out, we should begin thinking about some new strategies for this. And in the business, they call this either adaptation or exhaustion. And we've got to kind of make that choice. The body really has exhausted its capacity for an immediate stress reaction. So our strategies change. To the extent that you can, you should restore your normal schedule. You should balance your time at work. Time off would be good. It's okay to say no and set some limits. Know your own limits. Socialize. Remember, we are social creatures. We need to tell our story, and perhaps most importantly, we need to listen to others tell their story. It's not an easy task, but set aside some time and listen, and that'll help you feel better as well. The most powerful cross-cultural worldwide stress reliever is exercise, and I continue to notice that the gym is empty. So I insist, I ask all of you start filling it up. Remember, you'd be far better going home a little bit early, getting a good night's sleep, coming back to work, and being more efficient the next day than just putting in time at your desk. All of this is called resilience. All of this could take a longer talk, but I just hope I can whet your appetite, and perhaps you'll follow up, as I said, through the health unit or CLO, even for your own section. We're all experiencing the same reaction. So we had compiled in the health unit the 5 most common questions that we've been receiving. We sent them out on email, and I've learned that nobody read them. So I'm going to do them right now. Number 1, people say they're not sleeping very well. I think it would be surprising if anyone here has not experienced some kind of sleep disturbance. So what do you do about that? Well, the shortest answer for this meeting is exercise. Restore your schedule. If you're drinking too much or using too much caffeine to kind of control your mood and anxiety through the day, you want to modulate that. A second very interesting question is that we have folks who are anxious about being anxious. And secondary anxiety is not actually all that uncommon. Once you start your stress reaction, once you start your anxiety, and all those hormones and neurotransmitters are cascading through your body, you can't turn them off. And so perhaps the situation has changed and you don't need that fight or flight reaction any longer, and you'd like to turn it off, but there's no switch. And to some degree, it has to run its course. So people start saying, but I shouldn't be anxious. And the more they say that and the more they experience the physiological changes of anxiety, the more anxious they become. So I would ask you to step back, keep your perspective, try not to have secondary anxiety. People say, I've been fine, but all of a sudden I'm stressed out of the blue. Why is that? Where is the straw that broke the camel's back? Well, as far as we can tell, the stress accumulates over time, and you might be sitting quietly at home or minding your own business or watching television, and all of a sudden experience something along the lines or akin to an acute stress reaction. This is normal. Don't worry about it. If it persists, call us. What can you do in the short term to immediately affect your physiology? The answer is not a whole lot. You can control your breathing. Many of you know breathing exercises. You can remove yourself from the setting. You can go outside and try to spot a piece of nature. You can exercise and go for a walk. You can talk to someone else. And that might mitigate what you're experiencing, but it won't stop it. And how long does that process take? Well, the half-lives of adrenaline and noradrenaline, are they 20 minutes or an hour? It depends, but it'll take an hour or two, so don't be impatient with yourself. The other good question is, I notice my supervisors are getting more stressed and irritable, and so am I. And what might you do about that? Difficult, isn't it, really? And it requires that we form a working group, that we trust each other, that we operate on a buddy system, that we suspend some of our unhappinesses and conflicts in this very difficult time, and that we allow people to give us feedback and that we take it in the spirit that it's given. So I would encourage you. You're your best aid to each other. The resources are right here in the community, but we need to be open and honest with each other. And finally, and my favorite is, the room doesn't stop moving, why not? And that answer is because the room hasn't stopped moving. What you're experiencing, and I also have from time to time, is something akin to seasickness or earthquake sickness. And tincture of time will take care of that, we think. But if you get really desperate, come on by, and we have some seasickness medications that might give you an edge on that one. So those are the 5 main questions coming through the health unit. We've touched on this topic in earlier town hall meetings, and as I said, we're really talking about the acute stress phenomenon. But it really is time to start pacing yourself. There's no obvious end to this. Nobody knows where the horizon is. So you're in it for the long haul. It's not a sprint. It's really becoming a marathon.